Hi, I hope this reflection on Psalm 19 will be helpful for you. It's a wonderful psalm, a psalm that C.S. Lewis said is the greatest poem in the Psalter and one of the greatest lyrics in the world. But as well as this, I also see it as a really helpful guide for us for how we can process what's going on in life in a healthy way. We see a threefold invitation to look up and to see God revealing how glorious he is in creation, but also to look down to Scripture and to see God revealing his greatness in the instructions that he gives us for life. And then to look inwards to how we're responding to that and to seek God's grace and his help to be able to live this out. And as you look up and down and in, what do you see? Because how we see things can greatly affect how we feel and how we think. And sometimes we need a paradigm shift to be able to actually see things as they really are. We all have blind spots and biases, and maybe today, as you take in what this psalm has to say, it will really help you. I hope so. King David describes in verse 1 to 6 what he sees as he looks up and ponders creation. He says this: "The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge." They have no speech, they use no words, no sound is heard from them, yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their words to the ends of the world. In the heavens, God has pitched a tent for the sun. It's like a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, like a champion rejoicing to run his course. It rises at one end of the heavens and makes its circuit to the other. Nothing is deprived of its warmth. Just like great art or design reveals the incredible abilities of the artist or the designer, David sees the beauty and the vastness of the skies above as continually proclaiming that there is a glorious, powerful God who has created all this. But isn't it interesting that it's not with audible words for our ears? It's to speak to our heart and to our emotions. It's an amazing paradox that invites us to pause, listen and think and feel. It's a listening skill that we can develop, and our emotional and mental health will greatly benefit from it in these challenging times. We're encouraged also to ponder on how perfectly the sun has been positioned for life on Earth. Scientists tell us that it's actually the sun is at just the right distance away from the Earth so that here on Earth we don't freeze or burn up, and we can have the right amount of oxygen and nitrogen that we need. And that with the Earth rotating on its axis at its speed, it gives us a perfect length of day and night for sustaining life well. And it's tilted, the Earth's tilted at the right angle so that we can have some amazing seasons. And between what can be a stunningly beautiful sunrise and a sunset, it provides warmth and energy for life to flourish. All this is proclaiming and reminding us that surely there is a God who's glorious in ability and power, skill, art and craft, and takes great care to sustain life. But David knows that just looking up and taking this in isn't actually enough for what we need to know. So he looks down towards Scripture for more clarity, and along with 6 descriptions and characteristics of God's instruction to us, he highlights priceless benefits that we can receive in knowing them and living by them. He says the law of the Lord is perfect. It is truth, and it will refresh our soul, it will revive, it will transform our inner person. That what the Lord testifies to is true is also trustworthy, and it can make wise those who are open-minded. The precepts of the Lord are right, and if we follow them, our heart will become full of joy. The commands of the Lord are radiant. It can give light to our eyes so that we can clarify our vision and give insight to life so that we can navigate well life. And it all leads to reverence for God, fear of the Lord. And this can stabilize our future because it endures forever. And that the decisions that are recorded in Scripture are firm, and all of them are righteous. And when he looks at them, he says, these are more precious than abundance of gold or the sweetest, freshest honey. It's more precious than the security of lots of wealth and all the pleasures it can afford. By them we can be warned and kept from the false promises and temptations that this world may offer us and which could war against our soul. By keeping them, there is great reward for us. And so he's looked up and he said, wow, look at this creation. He's looked at the truth revealed in Scripture and said, this is the wisdom I want to live by, the rewards I want to experience. But then he looks inward as he processes all of this, along with the reality of his life at this moment and his ability to live this life. And the king is humbled. He sees his need for grace and turns to God and opens himself with honesty before God to ask for grace and help. He says it like this, but who can discern their own errors? Forgive my hidden faults. Keep your servant also from willful sins. May they not rule over me, then I will be blameless, innocent of great transgression. For Scripture enables us to see more clearly the person we really are, but also who we could be with God's help. And for us, especially in light of the finished work of Christ, and now the work of his Spirit who works in us to not only want to be able to live this way, but to be able to live this way. Don't we want to then join with David in saying this? May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight. Lord, my rock, my firm foundation, my redeemer, my restorer. Yes, may it be pleasing in God's sight because of what is being formed in us. May it be pleasing in God's sight because of the way that we then want to live, compelled to be able to love God well, to be able to love others well, and to show ourselves the love and the compassion with which Christ loves us. I know I've been freshly inspired to practice these life-giving ways. May they become a more natural way for us to be able to live, to pause, to be with God, to listen, to process life with him. The rewards are going to be great. And many people need us to model this kind of life to them at this time. So may the eyes of your heart be opened to gain fresh perspective and clarity. May you receive the wonderful counsel that you need from our wonderful counselor. the help that you need in your time of need. And may you experience God's peace, His shalom, and may it flow through you and transform many lives. May God bless you.